Welcome to Advanced Solutions How-To session. Today's session will cover how to add, edit, delete fixture list within Room Reserve. Let's begin by signing into the staff side of the room reservation system. You will need to know your administrative password for today's session. So here in the password box, I will type in my administrative password, and I could either hit the Enter key on my keyboard, or I could do a simple click over the Login button here. Once the room reservation system opens, it will open up to the home page. Within the home page, you are able to make modifications to many areas within the system. For instance, you have your reservation maintenance, you have setup, settings, quick view, and reports. Now, because we have the administrative level, we do have access to the setup as well as settings within the room reservation system. If I hover over other items in the toolbar, such as reservation maintenance, reports, room setup, and system settings, you will see under those drop-downs that it is the exact same items that we have in the box on the home page. So if I was to come into Request Reservations and needed to get back to my home page, I could come back up here to my toolbar and select Home. If I needed more information about the actual program, I would select the About from the toolbar. And as you can see within the About, it will give me information about what version I'm on, the vendor, support, website, and manuals. This becomes very important when you're contacting support because they will need to know what version you are on. To begin, let's come over to Settings, and we're going to come down to Branch Specific List, and we're going to select Fixture List. Now you're probably asking yourself, Fixture List, what does that mean? Well, I have some examples already set up in my system, as you can see over here, such as 15 chairs, 5 chairs, DSL, long table, and round table. You're probably still asking, how does this come into play? Well, let's go take a look at one of my room configuration setups so that you could see the differences in our fixture list. So I'm going to bounce over, and we're still in the staff side of the room reservation system, but we're actually in a room configuration page. And the section that I want to focus on is right here for standard fixtures. This right here would be a setup of all of the defaulted items that I could possibly have in one of my rooms. So when I'm setting up my rooms, before they're even allowed to have reservations onto them, we would have to define what's actually in those rooms. What are items that are always going to be in those rooms, which would be called standard fixtures. So in this list, we have microphones, podiums, smart boards, projectors, network jacks, LCD projection system, so on and so forth. And I can go through this entire list to decide what community room A already has in the room. There is another section, and we'll talk about this in another recording, but we have available equipment, meaning this is equipment that could be brought into those rooms, and it could be duplicate items such as microphones or podiums. So if I didn't already have these items as a standard item within the room, they would be available for me to select, maybe to add to the room for a patron's reservation request. Let's go back over, and we're going to take a look at how to add, edit, delete standard fixtures. Back on the fixture maintenance list, you will see that I already have items defined. If I wanted to add to this list, let's say I wanted to add maybe a whiteboard. I would come over here to this box, add new item to the list, and where it says enter fixture name, I would just simply type in whiteboard. Then I would select save. And that item will be now added to my list. I can continually add items as needed, or I can make other modifications. So let's say, for instance, we no longer have DSL. I would come over here to the delete column next to the DSL list item and put a check mark, and then I would select delete items. Once I select delete items, it removes the item from the modify items list. you no longer will have that DSL item. If I needed to make modifications to one of these, maybe it wasn't 15 chairs, maybe I have 20 chairs. I could double click on the title and make modifications to that title. And then I would select Submit Modified Entry. So now as you can see, I have 20 chairs, 5 chairs, long table, round table, and whiteboard. So to recap, let's add a new item. And this time I'm going to go ahead and add the 15 chairs. And select Save. Now I have an extra item in the list. I have the 15 chairs, 20 chairs, 5 chairs, so on and so forth. If I needed to delete an item out of my list, I would just put a check mark next to the list item, select Delete Items, and it removes it from my list. If I needed to make modifications to one of my items, I would just double click on that item and then I would modify the fixture name and submit modified entry. Once I'm done making my modifications, I can select the back button. Once I select the back button, it will bring me back to the home page where I can make further modifications as needed. If I'm done making my modifications, I could simply just select Log Off.